All right. We are live on Funk the Influence. We got Davon, the creator, aka Davon Johnson, joining us today. He is a really talented architect and production designer, I guess that's what he called. Does a lot of creative things, and he's here, and we're gonna let him in now.
Alex,
What's up,
yo,
man?
what's going on, bro? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you doing?
Amazing, amazing, man. It's been a beautiful day. I'm
That's
sad.
good.
I'm sad that we can't be out at the beach right now.
Yeah. Well, you could be on the beach. Just be safe about it.
No, man. We're laying low until we figure out what's going on, man.
Think I'm gonna go somewhere nice outside tomorrow. I think that's what. Gotta go see these poppies, man. You know
Yeah,
about the
right.
super bloom?
You said what?
The super bloom with all the orange, the poppies.
Oh yeah, you know what? I think my cousin and his girlfriend went and checked it out last week, man. It looked really nice.
Yeah, that's some Instagram content for real, but you can take it into like real life too, you know.
Right.
Um.
Yeah, I'm gonna
So
have to
yeah,
check it out.
man. I know you, but I want these people to know you, and I want your people to know a little bit more about you. So, we'll go into a lot of stuff, and I purposely we were talking the other day, and I was like, I'm not even gonna ask you anything now because I want to ask it all on here. So, I know that you're an overall creative. Your background is in architecture, and you consider yourself a production designer, but also creative director and a lot of other things in the creative world. Why don't you talk about kind of what you consider your role in the entertainment world, and let's talk about that a little bit.
So I'm actually an architect, man. I studied architecture. That's what I got my degree in. And then I kind of just took that as I went through my career and just applied it to overall creative as a production designer. So depending on the project, I've worked as contractor to creative director. With a lot of entertainment stuff, I've done lighting coordination. I've designed runways, um, art installations. So, I mean, pretty much, I don't really discriminate when it comes to the creative. But if you had to
Right.
just talk about my specific title, it would be architect, art director, production designer.
Okay. So, and I mean, my background, I also before I started working in an office setting, I was really like we talked about, like I was really like in the field doing a lot of stuff as an audio visual tech. So I worked with people like that do stuff like you do all the time. Also had a lot of respect for them. I had a lot of friends that were like lighting designers, and it's like when you really get out into the field and you see all these different positions, like everything in the production world, it's like, oh wow, like it's like you don't really think about like what the lights do to a production until you see someone who does that stuff like really good, or
Yeah.
someone who brings in like a set. So it's like, so definitely, man, there's so many questions I have, about all that stuff too. But so like you started out studying architecture in school, and then what was your first role in the quote unquote like entertainment industry? Well, whether it was an internship or a paid gig or whatever. What was that?
So actually, when I was still working at the firm at this time, right after school, man, and I was still doing architecture full time. One of my good friends, she actually knew that I loved fashion and that I wanted to get into more creative direction.
Mm-hmm.
So she decided to invite me out to basically work with a fashion show production team. So I didn't know what I was doing, man. I just kind of came to volunteer. Didn't know anybody on the production set or anything like that. And when I got there, they were like, "Hey, you look smart and big. Why don't you go work with the lighting designer?" And everybody else kind of went, more with props and
Mm-hmm.
helping to kind of like do the clothes. And then they put me with the head production designer, lighting guy, which is Ron Vowles, man. So he's worked with everybody from the Rolling Stones, and I didn't really learn this until after I got acquainted with him.
You
But
said
that was,
and you said he was an LD,
yeah, correct.
lighting designer. Okay.
Yeah, so that was kind of like my first introduction to overall like production design. And then, I killed it, like I normally just came to
Only
kind of,
choice.
I came to
Only
just
choice.
like volunteer, man. And when I got there, man, like I said, I just kind of got acquainted with the whole team and showed my skills. And I'm a quick learner, man. So, not only did they have me working with the lighting guy, but they were like, hey, just help us run the overall production as well. And kind of fun fact, I did a minor in fashion at Hampton. So while I was studying architecture, we were asked to do basically, electives. So I decided to take a fashion class, man, and got really involved with it, man. And that kind of helped, in regards to this project, which is kind of like my first production design project.
Oh yeah, no, I mean this is too. I mean it's funny. I remember a girl I dated like some years ago, like really broke it down to me, like the difference between like I didn't really know that there was a difference between like style and fashion.
Yeah.
But it's like those are two totally different things, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you break it down? What the difference between those two things would be, and how did those tie in with with
Yeah.
everything?
So basically, like I said, you have your stylists, you have your clothing designers, and then you also have a third category, which is costume design. So in regards to stylists, that's more of like, hey, I'm dressing somebody for the runway, or even, I may be dressing somebody for music videos, etc. But it's more dressing, the dressing aspect of it, as opposed to actually designing the clothes. And there are some stylists that actually take it the extra notch and start to, bring in those elements of, the creative in regards to, adding more to just dressing. But that's pretty much what styling is. And then in regards to like actual fashion and costume design, I think costume is more with the theater part of it, doing film and television. That's kind of like the title for the people who handles the fashion and stuff like that. And then, of course, you have your fashion design, which is the Gucci's and the Louis Vuittons. And, that's kind of like
All of that.
the overall creative direction of just clothing and creating collections for the springs and the seasons and all that good stuff.
Yeah, and then like like you're saying, then like so you have those two elements. You have like the stylist, and then you have just the overall fashion of what everything is. But then you tie into with like a production designer who's gonna like so you have okay, this person's gonna walk in and like well, who was it like Lady Gaga all those years ago? She wore like the bacon outfit. She was
Right.
right. But it's like then you got to talk to the production designer, whoever is like lighting that shit up is like, yo, how is that bacon gonna? Is that gonna look fucked up when it's lit up green? Is like that kind of shit gotta be amber? Like I got the par can on me right now. See, I'm amber, but I want to make it purple. So I'm saying like that just changed the vibe. Right?
Yeah, it's a lot of thought and creative that goes into it, man. Actually, one of my boys, Brian Henry, just logged in, man. But that's one of our like little inside jokes. It's all about the lighting, man. Lighting does so much, when it comes to
So
design,
much.
man. And you can have the simplest little, concept, man, but you do some crazy lighting to it, man, and it just adds some theater and it just blows it out of the park,
Right.
Yeah.
Play that Tootsie Slide. Nice. We got some comments up in here. So, yeah, man. No, I think man. Again, like I started off as an audio engineer, and then I got like more into like doing visual stuff, and then I started like producing events altogether. But when I first started doing audio, it was like there was like a guy like at I used to production manage a venue for a little bit too, and there was the guys over there that like they run the lighting board, but are they necessarily an LD? Not necessarily, because they're not really designing much. They're kind of just like hitting the buttons. But it's like someone really knows what they're doing. They create this whole other texture, this whole other ambiance that like adds so much to. I mean, it can like the lights can like become blue, and it can like give this like eerie feeling that like coincides with like it could be like a rumbling like background track, like almost sounding like the beginning of like Star Wars coming in, like the ship's about to come over.
Right.
It does so much.
And a lot of times, we see the end product is a lot of production and stuff, man. But everybody plays a part, and a lot of times, the directors kind of get the credit or the writers. But literally, like you have lighting guys, the costume designers, the architects, and the stagehands. People building out the sets. Even the film score, the people who handle the music, like everybody plays their part into the overall composition of the story. And that's kind of one of the things I've been working on and fighting for is to kind of give those people more of a voice and put a face to, you know, a lot of the behind the scenes work that goes on.
Let's give one set of applause for the stage hands out there, making it all happen. No drinking on the job though.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, they do that sometimes.
Right.
So I'm gonna transition a little bit now. You know, obviously we're gonna come more back into this element, but you know, not to just jump into it or anything, but you know, how are you staying well during this dark time now? You know, I mean, obviously you as well as me, you know, like we work in the industry, and you know, not I'm not going to say that there's not things going on, but you know, you don't see, you know, you don't have these artists like performing on television. You know, Saturday Night Live is being hosted remotely, so there's like a major breakdown on a lot of these costs for like production stuff. I mean, production costs went down from like, you know, from like 2 million a performance to like, you know, maybe it's like 15,000 now. It's like people are just like putting like little backgrounds behind them for Instagram Live. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
that thing you got right behind you. That could be, you know, like we set our own vibe today. But
Yeah.
you know, so how are you doing during this time? You know, just like with the change in like work. I know you still have some like projects you're working on. You're still doing some stuff, but you know, just besides working, like mentally, also, like, you know, how is everything for you?
I mean, I must admit, you know, I've been blessed, man. And you know, thank God I listened to my parents when they said, you know, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know, having that architecture kind of background to fall back on, you know, that's kind of what I'm really focused on right now. And I actually, I started a project right before all of the shutdown happened. I designed a recording studio slash kind of headquarters for Keep Cool Records, who just got bought out by RCA and Sony. So last year I designed a space and we started construction like 2 weeks before the shutdown happened. Thank God, yeah. So literally that's kind of what's been holding me on. And then also I teach part-time at Santa Monica College. So I teach architecture at Santa Monica College. So like those are like the foundation jobs that everybody talks about. That's kind of keeping me afloat. But everything entertainment completely shut down. I had some inquiries about doing some stage concepts for Coachella this year. Dead, you know. So thank God, like I said, you know, I kind of had something to fall back on in regards to the architecture and the teaching. But everything live production has been completely postponed until further notice. And you know, I doubt it'll come back anytime soon.
It's looking like, I mean, for real productions, like anything like Coachella level, it's looking like it's probably going to be about like a year from now, a little bit less. You know, it depends, man. If they come out with a vaccine like tomorrow, then that's great. They just cut it down 6 months. But
right,
for real, like to be like safe, you know, they're not hosting anything big anytime soon. So
yeah, yeah. And honestly, I feel like the whole culture of live production is going to change, man. I feel like it's going to go back to the rave days where, you know, everything is kind of, you know, in a tunnel somewhere in the dungeon, and it's like we're throwing a secret party. Which I actually,
hell yeah, man! You let me know when that happens. We'll get down on something, man.
Right.
So are you teaching remotely from Santa Monica College?
Yeah,
Are you doing that online?
So I mean, it's really been a challenge, honestly. I don't say it has been a challenge and a huge learning curve, man. Because I'm teaching an architectural drafting class. So that's a lot of hand sketching, you know, and you know, a lot of the tools and the resources for the students, they don't necessarily have access to at home, such as like the T-squares and all the drawing tables. So I really had to go 360 when trying to teach this remotely via Zoom. And it has been a challenge. You know, I do have very intelligent students, man, but you got to think about stuff like everybody doesn't have the same bandwidth when it comes to, you know, internet service, or some people are using Macs versus PC, you know, so
right. People's ability to just adapt, like, you know, you have a thing in person and then just all of a sudden it's online. Not everyone's able to adapt to that the same way. Like, so it's, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's, you know, it's also a blessing that we do have the technology to be able to do it. But it's like, you know, you also don't want these kids to get so far behind, you know. It's like I have like friends that have kids that are in like elementary school and stuff, and that you don't want them to like lose a year, so you got to figure it out real quick, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, and, you know, we spent months, you know, a lot of the teachers, professors, man, we spent months putting together lesson plans, and, you know, and to have to change that in a weekend to accommodate with the, you know, the transition, you know, like I said, it definitely was a huge learning curve, man. And, you know, we have some very intelligent, smart people that made it happen, but, you know, it has hindered, you know, this semester for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, that college is that college is all sorts of dope. Santa Monica. I mean, they got KCRW there. Need I say more? It's one of like I was listening to that radio station when I still lived in New York, so it's like, you know, I know a few people that went there, and it's definitely a really amazing school. So
Right.
so okay, so it sounds like you're staying busy, which is great. So then like mentally and everything, you've been okay because you're staying busy. I mean, it's I mean, I know you have your family's all based in LA, so you have your family here.
Yeah, I mean, and that's another blessing too, man. To have my family and even my friends, man. There are a couple of people who I've been in contact with that I trust that take care of themselves in the coronavirus. But for the most part, man, I think that's the biggest thing I miss is just really being with my friends, man, and kind of just socializing, but at the same time, I've been hopping on FaceTimes, and we still keep in contact, and we all know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I think my village does a good job of reaching out, making sure we're all good and safe, grocery store runs, whatever it may be, So I think that really helps to kind of cope with what's going on. But mentally, I'm fine, man. I have a great support system from family to friends, man, that is really getting me through this thing.
That's really what it comes down to. Really, just like I have this thing now. Like actually, the reason like I hit you up like even before like we came up with this idea to do it, was just like really I have this kind of MO now that just anyone that pops into my mind, I just text them and check up on them because like you know what I mean. It's like so many people go through your mind every day, but like normally you get caught up, but it's like. Now it's like now is a great time to check on people.
Right. I mean, like you said, now we don't have those distractions. We're ripping and running. So we can live. And all it takes is a text, man. And I'm guilty of it too. Especially being so busy. And a lot of times you take it for granted. You say, hey, they're my family, they're my friends, they understand. But that one little, that one little text goes a long way, bro. Even if it's just a, hey, how you doing? Okay, bye. It's that simple.
No, 100%, 100%. It's funny, like, cause even I actually just did my first Instacart transaction, which is why I started a few minutes late because I was actually just getting done working, but then like my Instacart delivery showed up at the house, and I had to like kind of pick and choose what like how to go in the fridge, and then I had to like do my little sterilization processes and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh man, this is all happening so fast, but it's like. Even like when I was going to the grocery store, it's like it felt like everyone that was like working like the cash registers and everything, like they're so like eager and happy to like be talking to like a real person. It's just like we don't have that like ability to, and people are definitely gonna value human interaction on a whole other level.
Oh man, like, and that's one thing I do miss, like going to the grocery stores and actually having those random conversations with people you pass by. And, when it first started, everybody just like even scared to look you in the eye, so I'm like, oh shit, And I'm very.
Especially if you're wearing a mask. Now everyone's got one, so.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to know if like, are you talking to me? Are you even looking at me? I can't get your facial expression. So it has been a huge challenge for me. And, I'm very talkative and personable, man. So I love sparking conversations with strangers.
Yeah, well, it's a good and it's also a strange time to do that. So it's like we gotta kind of find healthy grounds of getting those things done. But we definitely like I know that like aside from my roommates and like when I go to the grocery store, it's like man I haven't like been around people in like it's like a month and a half.
Yeah, man.
I started working from home for my job, so.
And that's the biggest thing I miss is just like being able just to hug people, to touch, and even like
all in that same boat,
even in regards to business, man. Like I said, we kind of started construction around the time that the shutdown happened. So when I had new contractors coming on, it's professional to shake hands when I'm meeting people for the first time. So I do hate that as well, man. Just like when you're actually trying to handle business, like kind of. I feel disrespectful not being able to shake somebody's hand and look them in the eye. And, I make sure I at least take off my mask. Like, hey, this is who I am. All right, put it back on now. Let's talk business. But
hold your breath, but yeah.
Yeah, bro. I mean, you got to be safe, bro.
Be safe. Yeah, have fun, but be safe. That's the MO right now. All right, so cool. So everything's okay in Davon's world. He's staying alive. He's being safe. He's getting his shit done. He's still got his bread and butter coming in remotely. That's great.
Yeah, man.
So let's let people know a little bit more about you now. What kind of projects? Obviously you said you work on all different kind of creative projects and stuff. But what kind of projects do you generally work on? I know you've done like videos, show sets, runways, all that stuff. But what kind of projects do you generally work on, and what are your favorite to do?
So, the first question, what projects do I generally work on? In regards to architecture, I've done everything from housing renovations to large scale projects. When I was at the firm, I worked for the Lakers training facility. I helped with the design for that. We did a lot of hospital designs with Cedars-Sinai. So I literally kind of had my hands in every scale of commercial projects and residential. So that's kind of like the architecture side. In regards to the production design, I've done a couple of music videos. I'm trying to do more. I did an art installation for Coachella in regards to like build out as well as design.
That was last year?
That was 2015. Yeah, man.
15,
and that was probably one of my favorite projects, man. I mean, I'm a huge...
What artist was that? If I'm allowed to ask.
No, so it was actually you know how they have the art installations on the grounds when you walk around.
Oh yeah, the huge ones.
Yeah, exactly. So I was part of one of the design teams for that art installation. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
So that's that. In regards to like some big projects, it's pretty well known. I did the Trap Museum with T.I. out in Atlanta. So I was the head architect in that project. That was pretty cool, man. Honestly, that was actually my first big project when I left the firm. So
yeah, I think someone commented that before. I saw
yeah.
Trap, unless they're saying it looks like we're in the trap, but I think someone said Trap Museum.
Yeah, that's Rob. That's Rob,
Trap
man.
Museum. Okay.
So Rob, that's actually one of my best friends, man. He coincidentally studied architecture. So Rob was with me shooting in the gym, man, when I was doing architecture in school, man. He was an architect major. Now he's a great actor, comedian, the whole works, man. But yeah, so anyway, the Trap Museum was a great project. I think it was very, very a huge learning curve with that, man. It taught me a lot about the business. Like I said, that was my first major project coming out of the firm. So, not to throw shade or anything, but it taught me a lot, like, about being an entrepreneur, knowing your contracts, making sure you get your money.
Business, yeah.
The business. It taught me a lot about the business.
People come in, they think it's like, oh, this is so creative. Like, I get to design art, but it's like, yo, you can get fucked if you don't know what you're doing. People steal that from you.
Yo, you can get fucked. Trust me.
We've all been there, man.
Yeah,
but then,
man.
You learn what not to do the next time, and if you're real genuine, you might spread the knowledge,
Right. But I think my absolute favorite project that I worked on, I did an installation for Kamasi Washington at Troy Carter's house. So Troy Carter's a huge music exec, man, in the business, pretty big. If you don't know him, look him up. Anyway, he did an installation for the Hammer Museum at his house in Kamasi, Washington. And I actually got a chance to work with my cousin, who's an artist as well, Lauren Halsey. So she's a huge artist, man, fine artist. She's done sculptures and paintings. She also just designed a shoe with Nike. So we got a chance to collaborate as family on that project, and it was huge, bro. So I think I think the biggest thing I loved about that is, for one, they had a budget. I got to work with my cousin, and then also, like, the vibe was just amazing. From the production.
Yeah. When was this?
This was last year, 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. So you were with Kamasi Washington with like his full band and everything?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Had the full band. I mean, like, it was absolutely amazing. I think what really made it, not only what I just mentioned about, just everything that kind of lined up, but literally, as we were setting up, we were about to start the show, and I was down on the stage, kind of like checking everything, and they let a few of the older guests in to kind of get situated before they let everybody else down to the stage. And I'm setting up, talking to my lighting guy, and I just so happen to, how you feel somebody staring at you? And I just so happen to look up, and Quincy Jones is just kind of like sitting there watching us set up. I'm just like, oh shit. Yeah, and he kind of like, Quincy always gives a thumbs up. You get it, man. And
don't get nervous.
That was like the highlight of my career, man.
No, that's amazing. And Kamasi is actually real, man. If you guys aren't hip to Kamasi Washington, you gotta check that guy out. So he's big in the jazz world. He's most, I guess, in the getting into the pop realm, most known for, orchestrating Kendrick Lamar's "To Pimp a Butterfly" record. So all those jazz sounds. He's a sax player. He scored that whole, he did put all that together. I know my one really good friend of mine is his production manager. So he's toured with Kamasi for years, and I met him back in 2015. And actually, he brought me to Coachella with them when they went there a few years ago, and I got to just do like a real like auxiliary kind of audio job. But man, I mean, his music is that music takes you places, man. And it's like, so to actually envision, kind of you doing your thing with that, I got to see some footage of that. Definitely, you gotta send me that.
My friend Steph, she's in here from New York, man. She's actually one of the top dogs at the King's Theater in Harlem. But she actually brought up a good point. He played with his dad, man. I thought that was amazing, man.
He played with who?
He played with his dad. So at the end of our show, he brought out his dad.
His dad is man. I met that guy in 2015 when I used to work at this music venue, and I didn't know who he was or anything, but his dad was like, we were all hanging out. This is in upstate New York, and after the show, everyone's just hanging out. This venue is like it's like a big barn, but it's like a world-class like music venue, like kind of like BB King's or like, all those big venues. But after the show, everyone's just hanging out, it's basically just the band and like the opening act, who's another real dope regional jazz act.
Oh, yeah.
We're all just hanging out, and his dad's like telling us about, like at this time, like this is when Kamasi recorded his first big record called The Epic, which is a double album. Basically what they did, and apologies if like Brandon Coleman or any of those guys I fuck with, like if you're watching this, I get this wrong, but what I remember is that they rented out this a recording studio for like a month, and all of them played on everyone's records, so they all became like a house band, and they recorded like 8 records. So they recorded one for they recorded Kamasi, and they recorded one for Ronald Bruner Jr., who's the drummer, who's also Thundercat's brother, and they recorded one for like Ryan Porter, the trombone player, like all those guys. And his dad's telling me about this. I'm like, man, that is such a genius idea. His dad is dope.
You know what? LA is so slept on when it comes to jazz and funk music, man. I'm telling you. When this is all over, I think we need to like sign a petition and have like an LA funk concert or something, man. I mean, from Terrace Martin, like you said, Kamasi, Thundercat, like, yeah, we got to do it.
Terrace Martin just put out a record a couple weeks ago called Soul Juice or something like that.
Yeah,
it's just like a real dope little EP. Something. Actually, I saw him. I went to see Herbie Hancock like right before all this shutdown started, and Terrace came out and played with him because they're friends.
Oh, he's effective.
It's so dope, man.
Terrace is
it's crazy. I knew this whole conversation. I didn't know we had like this whole like jazz connection, man.
I know, right? Cool. Like I said, I can't wait, man. We definitely gonna have to hit a couple of jazz concerts.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And for everyone that doesn't listen to enough jazz, you should get into it. Put it on while you're working on something creative or something that's really boring, because it really open up your mind. I usually put on one of Kamasi's records when I'm working on stuff because it's like so relaxing,
Right.
Anyway, moving on from that, so I know about some of the clients you've worked with. I'm not one to name drop, so I'm not going to do that. But, feel free to let our audience know, who you've worked with. And, just let us know a little bit about your resume, like kind of elaborating on what we talked about before. But, maybe, what projects specifically you've worked on. You talked about Kamasi, but what else?
Yeah, I mean, I can go down the list. Like, I'm just like you. I'm humble, man. I don't like to brag too much, man. And it's actually crazy.
I'm pulling it out of you, man.
But yeah, I work with, I'll just kind of go who we already talked about. Kamasi, T.I., Coachella. I've done some concepts for Khalees. Recently, I did some concepts with Usher, which was part of the stuff that kind of got postponed. I work with Jason Rimber, who's one of the top stylists out in New York, man. New York Fashion Week. Let's see, who else?
You had to go out there on Fashion Week?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So like Halloween for models, man. It's crazy out there.
In regards to organizations, I work with the Lakers facility, Cedars-Sinai, UCLA. I also work with LACMA, MoMA, and or actually Mocha, LACMA, and then also the Hammer Museum as well. So that's kind of a few people.
Someone asked Drake.
Drake.
No Drake. No Drake yet.
Nah, not Drake yet, man. It's coming. It's coming.
So when you work with Drake, you have to create things that like put him into positions where he, I guess, is kind of memeable. You have to do things that make him like look like he could get memed afterwards because he likes that.
Yeah.
Because then people, you know.
Right.
Someone said, "Who else? Who else? who are you looking for?
They said,
who are you looking for?
Keep dropping names.
He knows someone. He knows someone. You're just not saying it.
Oh man, I work with Keep Cool Records. So basically, Keep Cool represents Normani and Lucky Day, as well as like Dan Jess, a couple other people. I recently worked with Radio, which is Issa Rae's new record label. Yeah. So so shout out to Morgan and Philippe. Yeah, that was great working with them as well, man. And you know, Issa's kind of hitting the ground running. You know, with a lot of good things, man. I mean, you know, kind of started off in production. Now she's going full throttle into the music. And if you know from just like watching Insecure, man, their music selection and curation is absolutely brilliant. So one of my good friends that I actually grew up with, she's like one of the top dogs on radio, man. And she kind of reached out to me about collaborating. And then coincidentally, we got connected together through Jason Rimbert, who was the fashion designer I was telling you about in New York. Yeah, so he's really close.
You said she's on Radio?
Yeah, so Radio is the name of Issa Rae's new record label.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, spelled like her name, RAEDO, Radio.
I was confused for a second. I was like, oh, she's working on Radio. She's working on.
Yeah. So that's the name of her record label, Radio. And it just actually, I think they just started officially. I mean, it's been in the works for a while. Under the radar, but they just kind of like announced it this past year. So honestly, they had a lot of stuff lined up this year, but of course, you know, all the production stuff has been kind of put under the table for a second. But trust me when I say, you know, they got some shit up their sleeve that I'm definitely in the works of being involved in as well.
Keeping the lookout for that. That sounds good though.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take it to the other side now. Okay, we talked about, you know, now who you've worked with, the kind of work you've done. What's been your favorite project to work on and why? That's part one. And then what do you look forward to working on the most in the future?
All right, cool. Ready?
And if you need me to repeat the second half, because I already forgot what it was.
No, I got a good memory, man. I got you.
Okay.
So the first question is my favorite project that I've worked on, or favorite projects working on. I really like doing stage design, man. I've always been a huge like music head. You can ask all of my friends and family. I should have been a producer, but I wanted to be different.
Still got time.
So I decided to go the behind the scenes art route of music, and that's, you know, more the design aspect of it. But anything music, you know, like I have a huge passion for it, man. And that's kind of really how I got into the stage design, is kind of using my architectural background and applying it to my favorite thing in the world. And, you know, kind of bridging those gaps. So in regards to a project that I really want to work with, anything stage design, man. And I've designed a couple of stages. Like I said, you know, I have some stuff lined up for Coachella that people inquired about. So, and you know, I got super excited, man, because that's actually my dream, is not only to do a structure, which is architecture, for a musician, but at one of the biggest platforms in the world, which is Coachella. You know, so that's really kind of my dream project, is to do overall creative direction for a set at Coachella in regards to the structure and the stage design. Yeah.
I see it in the near future, man, because it's not too far off for you, man. All you got to do is come in with an artist one year, and then, you know, I mean, you've already done some of the you said some of the site design, so
right. And like I said,
bro.
You know, the conversations were already there, man. Everything kind of just got postponed, man. So, you know, yeah, this year is definitely supposed to be monumental. It still got a little time. We'll see. I'm staying optimistic, bro.
No, I mean, again, man, and you got some of these artists you worked with. Now I remember you'd posted a photo of, I think it was it either an award show or was it just it was a television performance for Lil Nas?
Yeah, man.
It was like with all the TVs and everything everywhere.
Right. I told
That
you, like,
was
the list goes on, man. So
that was sick. I mean, I've seen a lot of shit. That was like, okay,
yeah.
that's real dope, man.
So shout out to Jed. Jed is actually a huge production designer, man. He's worked with everybody from Beyonce to ASAP Rocky, and he's the one that brought me in to work with Lil Nas. My first time working with Lil Nas was for Ellen. Jed called me. I was in New York working Fashion Week, bro, coincidentally. He was like, hey, I need your help on a project, nothing major. Are you going to be back in LA? And I was like, well, anything.
Nothing major.
I said, yeah, anything for you, bro. I said, send me all the details for the project, send them to my email, and then I'll call you back. And when he sent it, it's like Lil Nas for Ellen DeGeneres. I'm like, holy shit. Yeah, man. So that was great, bro. Yeah, and Lil Nas, his whole team is really dope, man. And I think it was really cool working with him too because he's just starting off. He's so fresh, and just to kind of see his growth. He's a shy kid, man, and kind of super introverted. But he has his moments where when he steps on the stage, he kind of does his thing. But
no, I remember when his record came out. I remember like all like those little like kind of like loop visuals, even the things that would play like on Spotify, like that would just like loop. It was just like, man, like this shit is like real creative, man.
Yeah, he gets it, man. I think the biggest challenge was just the fact that he literally made this song and blew up as one of the biggest artists overnight. So I think that's where a lot of his anxiety came from. It's just like, I'm the biggest artist in the world right now with this song. And I've never been on stage, nothing, So to see him kind of grow out of that and really, gain his confidence and even, with help from the team, including, our team, with providing him with the resources and the visuals to say, hey, everything behind you is good. You just got to go out there and kill it, man. And, and we're going to make sure you look good and have lighting and have the props and shit to jump on. So, to kind of be a part of his growth and his confidence, man, that was really cool.
Yeah, that's almost like kind of like reverted to how it used to be back in like the 50s and 60s, because these artists would get like, they'd put a song out on the radio and it would get huge, and then they had to put them in front of audiences. The difference back then is like, when like, not the Beatles, but like other artists in that same time period, they would just put on a record in the backstage and they would just play that out and no one could even tell that it was a record playing.
Yeah, they just lip sync and shit.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of like what they used to do now,
Right. The whole American Bandstand days,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
100%. Kind of like, it's kind of almost like reverted that these artists that just blow up so fast now off like TikTok and stuff, and they've never even played a battle of the bands in their high school or anything, So
yeah, yeah, man. I think the biggest thing too, and one of the things that I really hope we fight for more, is that we really start to bring creative into the conversation from day one. A lot of times, people start making the music, or whatever it may be, and then like literally like the stage concept or what the album cover looks like, all that comes at the end, and it's like, and you kind of can tell. You can tell the artists who actually have their creative team in the studios listening to the music, and then for them just to hire somebody off Fiverr, and just like, hey, create my album, and I've never listened to the songs or anything. So I think we need to do a better job of making it all inclusive and fully immersive.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because I always used to listen to like I've listened to Travis Scott forever, but like I didn't realize like how creative a dude that he was until like, man, like really recent, like all these new artists that he's putting out through his label and stuff. It's just like, man, you've seen like some of the artwork that they're coming out, and it's all like, you could tell like he just works with like just super like, super dope creative people that just want to like
Travis,
take it differently, or almost like kind of, it almost has more of like a kind of like classic element to it now.
Yeah, it definitely, man. Travis is another one, man, who just he gets it, bro. I mean, I'll probably get a little flack saying this. Kanye is the pioneer, bro, but I definitely feel like Travis is the better version of Kanye, man. And he just, I think he's approachable and he kind of gets all aspects of it. But I mean, nobody can shit on Kanye when it comes to just fucking pure genius, bro.
You can't at all. Even if you hate him as a person, it's like, you put that dude in a studio the shit that's gonna come out is gonna be fire. It doesn't matter if it's if it's gospel or if it's like some just 2025 whatever. He's that guy. He gets it,
He
man.
gets
You
it.
know.
But yeah, like I said, I haven't been disappointed with a Travis Scott record yet.
No. Obviously,
Or a
Travis is
concert.
like way, even though they're both like connected, basically they're almost like basically like stepbrothers. Even though Kanye is like almost like his older brother,
Yeah.
it's like they're like Travis is like way more of a humble dude though. Like what I mean? Like that dude won't. You got Kanye that's saying he's God, and then you got Travis is just like.
I just want to turn up. I'm a rock star.
I just want to turn up, and I just want to make some like real dope creative shit,
Yeah.
Would you work with Travis?
Yeah, bro. I'll work with anybody, man.
All right. Someone's got that plug. Make that happen.
But once again, man, I mean, my biggest thing is, I work with a lot of dope artists. What really makes a project dope for me is just good vibes and good energy, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And people that are just respectful and really respect the process and are just like, hey, I just want to create dope shit with no drama. I think that's the biggest thing, Yeah, because I mean, like, I worked on big budget projects and it's been a living hell, and I definitely want to stay away from that again.
No, 100%, man. You gotta, you got one life, man. Obviously, you don't know what you really like until you've done things that you don't like necessarily. It's not always necessarily the case, but it's definitely like I found that's like a good learning experience. But sometimes people just jump into things and know that this is what they want to do.
Right.
It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
I know we got it's crazy. We've already been on this for like 45 minutes.
I know.
But,
time is passing by fast. That's good, bro.
There you go. I want to have people ask a few questions, but I got 2 more questions for you real quick.
All right, cool.
What are your least favorite projects to work on?
Least favorite projects?
No name. You don't need to drop names. As what kind of project? Like if someone was like, "Yo, I want to pay you $150,000 to work on this," but you're like, "Fuck, I really hate doing those," but I pay off my mom's mortgage with that.
Yeah. Honestly, I think music videos, bro. And I think the biggest thing about music videos is the fact that there's so many moving parts, but then also, especially when it comes to urban and, just dealing with a lot of different artists, music videos, they lack the respect when it comes to time. Like, I've been on a lot of music video sets where, like, literally you're waiting on artists and production team for hours, bro. It's like a pain in the ass,
Right, and then they show up, and then they expect it to all be good. You'd be like, bro, you gotta stand there. We gotta see how that light looks on you.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, it's pretty cool at times. Also, like, when it comes to the structure of music videos as well, it's very like, very quick and, put up, put down, so just the longevity of actually seeing the design outside of just being in the actual visual, it can be a hindrance sometimes.
I thought you said before that you liked working on music videos, but
I like the design aspect of it. I think it's cool to kind of see things in front of the camera, but in regards to just the ethics of music video sets, I think that's where the challenge comes in.
Yeah. And it's like also like the most, like the number one place, like if someone's gonna get ripped off or something, it's like even when you're dealing with like contracts and stuff, people get weird, man.
Yeah. And then also another thing with music videos, like you got to deal with extras, so like not only are you dealing with the artists and their team, hair and makeup, like it's just a lot of different, like I said, moving parts in regards to the people and the different, sectors of it. But like, especially when you're dealing with the extras, man, sometimes you have a club scene and you're dealing with 15 to, 100 people. You're trying to do a party scene and, you got people over here drinking and talking and trying to network and directors yelling for everybody quiet on set. It can be chaotic at times.
No. Yeah, I mean, I luckily, like, the videos that I've dealt with that, this party scenes is usually pretty fun. But, yeah, you got to, people got to realize that it's like you're there to work. And, and then the product is going to look dope at the end. But, you got to, it's a lot of moving parts, like you said.
Right.
And it's really hard to.
And I think Brian, I see Brian made a comment about the integrity, but I really think that, basically the integrity is what we lack in current day music video sets. You know, back in the day when Michael Jackson and Janet they were doing music videos, those were like movies, bro. You know, they were working with fucking Steven Spielberg and shit, you know? So, like, I think, like you said, the integrity and just that foundation of, hey, you know, we're on a time frame, we got to get going, you know, and also, you know, it's big budgets on these projects. I think that kind of helps as well, or should I say hinder in this case, because the budgets have been cut for music videos. So nobody respects the process. A lot of times, you know, you're going in and, you know, you're just getting people who are volunteering their time as opposed to a lot of these background people getting paid $500 for the day. So now you have my respect. Now it's just like, hey, I'm just going to put an invite on Instagram and see who comes out. And I think that's where the lack of integrity and respect and the chaos comes in.
I can feel that. Yeah, it's not the days where Puff Daddy was filming shit in helicopters and everyone was making every day. You know, those days are long gone. You know, but it still said, man. I mean, even especially in LA, man, I know some super dope directors that are out here that are like, they're making movies, and you know, again, you know, maybe maybe some of those things you said are true. But it's like at the end of the day, man, the product that comes out of it, there's such amazing stuff getting made these days, man. It's like, you know, things have gotten a lot cheaper, and you can get around things. Now you got like drones and stuff. It's like you could really get a lot done with a smaller budget. But then the other side of that is because you're not paying the big budget, people think, you know, maybe I can piss away this time a little bit. You know, it's not as valuable, but your time is still valuable as a creative that's getting hired, you know?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone has a question. See if we got any questions here.
I see Ryan says, better concert, Yeezus or Astroworld?
Oh, tearing apart the family, tearing apart the Kardashian-Jenner family right now.
All right, here we go. I'm going to answer that. I think in regards to the theater aspect, Yeezus took the cake. But the only thing is, I saw Yeezus at the Staples Center. In the Staples Center, everybody knows that the sound is absolute shit when it comes to concert, man.
Trash.
Unless you're like right up on the speaker. So I think that's kind of what, I mean, like, it was an amazing concert, bro, but I think that's what kind of ruined it. Or not, when I say ruined it, in regards to me going against Astroworld. But Astroworld was insane.
Well, because Astroworld is an actual festival, right?
Correct. But I saw Astroworld at the Forum, at the Great Western Forum. So basically, I mean, one of the good things is it's Travis Scott, so the music was amazing. I mean, you know, just Astroworld, the album was fucking insane.
So dope.
Should have got a Grammy.
Yeah.
And then also, man, I mean, you know, like, him as a performer is crazy. Being in a Forum, you know, the Forum basically just redid their whole sound system. So no matter where you are, whether you're in the nosebleeds or on the floor, everything sounds good, man. So I think that added to the experience of me choosing Astroworld as the better concert.
Yeah, I got some funny questions coming. No, you know what's crazy? I mean, I've only lived in LA for like, you know, just over 2 years, but I haven't been to the Forum, and I haven't been to Staples Center yet. It's crazy. Yeah. I was going to go to the Forum to see Anderson .Paak. I didn't see that, but I haven't been either. And now, obviously, it's going to be a long time. But yeah, I got to get over there.
I have a great history with the Forum, man. And you know what? My first concert ever was Janet Jackson at the Forum, man.
Wow.
And I was only like 6 or 7. So I remember it. Like I said, I have a great memory. So I remember it, but I don't remember, like, I don't remember the importance of it. You know, like, I was at the Janet Jackson concert, but I didn't get every aspect of it, bro. But at the same time, man, like, that was my first thing at the Forum, bro. So yeah, love it.
It's a lot better than my first concert, but I remember that. Okay, what mark do you want to leave on the creative world?
What mark do I want to leave on the creative world? I think a lot of times, especially in my field of architecture and even behind the scenes production design, it's not really a representation of cool ass niggas doing dope, intelligent shit. And I think that's what a lot of stuff, man.
Quote him on that.
Yeah, you know, seriously, bro. It's just like, you know, in my community, especially like, you know, the black culture, a lot of times we really don't see that there are cool jobs within the music industry that you don't have to be a rapper or a producer, that you can still be a part of that world and do some amazing stuff, man. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's really, you know, just across the board, but that's really my biggest thing, man, is, I try to really bring, like I said, the face to this production design thing, man, and really just say, hey, like, we're out here doing some dope stuff, man.
No, I mean, actually, that's interesting you said that. I mean, I know some real dope creatives in the the African American community that are like, especially out here, but also in like Brooklyn on the East Coast and stuff too. But it's like really like, most of the times when I go, do like music videos or like whatever, it's like, the creative team, it's like a bunch of kids that went to Purchase College kind of look like me, pretty light skinned. But I think it's dope to have that diversity, man. And it's like, I mean, it's like, I don't look at people like anyone's
and even
different
like,
than others.
I mean, to kind of piggyback off that point too, man. Not only just doing cool stuff, but then also it's just like, hey, you don't have to really stay strictly to one thing. A lot of us have been blessed with many talents, bro. And it's just like, use your resources and don't feel, like I'm all over the place when it comes to creative. But one of the things is like everything that I do, whether it's architecture, production design, it's all pretty much a part of the same family. Even from my art, I mean, like, this is like my painting in the back, and I mean, like, even like I could take that and add it to a stage concept, so it's like, don't put all your eggs in one basket, man. Diversity in regards to how we look, but then also diversity in regards to the mentality of, the products that we put out.
Right, and it's all connected at the end of the day. I mean, it's like, maybe like when you first studied architecture, and then you also like, were getting into production design, or like working with like artists and stuff, you might not necessarily think about like how they're connected, but it's like, oh wait, artist is on stage, someone's got to design all that. You know what I mean? It's like you're just putting two together. It's like you had two minors in college, but then like you figure out how to make money out of them. It's really the same thing, but it's not always easy to figure that out,
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like, kind of, again, like coming off of something you just said a few minutes ago, it's like really like, the key to like staying busy, staying successful, and being creative is just like everything you do, have it connect, even if you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, like, for instance, like, like I toured and I worked in music venues and stuff. And now like I work in I work in an accounting firm, but it's entertainment accounting. So it's like, you're still dealing with artists, but it's like on a different side of it. And you're getting a well-rounded background. And all those things connect because you're like learning about one thing and you already might have some knowledge about the other side of it. So it's really, that's kind of how I feel too, man.
Right.
And we can always learn more. Anyone who is not curious needs to get curious, man, because you can never know everything,
And that's the thing, man. I mean, like, I think now, bro, with technology, there's no excuse for no one to not be successful, bro. Like, you can literally go on YouTube and teach yourself how to do anything. I mean, I'm still teaching myself shit, like, especially during this whole coronavirus kind of shutdown. I kind of took the time to learn new softwares and all that shit, man. So it's just like, there's no excuses, man. I think the biggest thing is just figuring out who you are and what makes you happy and what you love to do, and actually, what you're good at too, man.
This guy said Honda Center uses is way better. Just here's a good one. With all the wisdom you've acquired over all the years, what advice would you give to your younger self at 18?
Save your money. Save your money. Honestly, I thought about, like, would I give myself advice about my career? No, because I feel like, if I was working with John Legend, Kanye at 18 years old, I probably would have dropped the ball because I didn't have the experience, the knowledge. It would have been just way, way, way too much to put on my plate as an immature. I mean, I've been blessed. I've been smart for a long time, man. But it's nothing like maturity and experience, man. So nothing about my career. It would be save your money. Save your money. Because, just from buying property, real estate, all that stuff, having the means and the resources to really, be able to fund your own projects. Like, I wish I could do that. I mean, I can to a certain extent, but, I would love to put on my own festival with my own money. I was getting refund checks from college and going to H&M, or taking trips with my friends and stuff, but That's one thing I wish I would have did. And you know, your parents tell you all the time, save your money, save your damn money, man. And especially like now. I'm pretty sure a lot of people wish they would have saved their money during the shutdown.
Right now, hell yeah. Are you able to? I wonder if this is the same guy. I mean, it's what we got a few more minutes, so I'm gonna answer like 2 more of these.
Yeah.
Are you able to enjoy watching productions, or does your creative mind take over things you'd like to add or change? Now, I'll answer that first because I think the same way. You know, when I used to go to concerts, I toured, you know, as a sound engineer and stuff, and I used to. Man, when I worked in a venue for so long, it used to actually, I'd go see shows and I couldn't enjoy them because I was thinking about that. But when you go, you gotta like, you can think about it, but you really gotta take off that hat and you gotta enter as an audience member because it's sometimes so hard for me anyway. You don't have to do that, but for me, like if I'm actually going to enjoy a show and I'm not working, if I'm not getting paid, I gotta go as an audience member. So I have to just go and enjoy that, you know. But
I'm gonna stop you there though, Alex, because I think being cultured to live production, I think we're able to respect a big production versus a small production. If it's good, it's good. You know, and it doesn't matter if I'm performing outside in the cardboard box in New York. You know, like if it's good, it's good, no matter what scale of production it is. So for us, you know, to be, I mean, I am guilty. Like, you know, we analyze everything. Like, oh, they could have done lighting better. The sound could have been better. This, and that. But at the same time, it's just like I said, when it's good, it's good. So I'm not afraid to talk shit if it's terrible.
No, 100%. No, man. If your experience sucks, but it's like also like okay, like you're standing in the audience and like, you know, I don't know, the stage could have been lit up a little bit better, but the band or like the artist fucking killed it. It's like, are you really gonna like dwindle on that? Like you could think about that, but you know, you shouldn't let it ruin your experience because you know. This is the funniest thing that I always thought, man, when I was like a teenager, I go to like big like festivals and stuff. I'm like, oh man, like I want to be one of those people on the side of the stage, like hanging out with the artists, like that's so cool. Yeah. But then when you're up there and you're backstage, man, the party's out there.
Yeah,
you know
seriously,
like,
bro.
Okay, like you might get to smoke a blunt with fucking whoever, but like the party's out there, bro. Like, you know, you got artist hospitality backstage, but like they're having all the fun out front.
Yeah,
you know?
And I mean, honestly, even with my projects, the big ones, man, I'm still a fan at the end of the day. You know, I've been able to work with some really cool people, man, that I've been fans of, and I try to like keep it cool, you know. But I mean, I make sure that, you know, a lot of times I make sure that I make the production good and everything straight, and then if I have a chance where I'm not working through the actual show, I love to be a part of the audience member, not only just to enjoy it as a fan, but then also just to observe my work and say, you know, what could I have done better? What's the viewer experience? And I think a lot of producers and creatives, they really like lack that as well. You know, they think about myself and what are my ideas as an artist, but it's just like, you know, if I'm the viewer, if I'm sitting in the audience, what am I looking at? How does it attract me? You know, I think that's another thing about a lack as well, man. It's just like, hey, you know, it is about me as the creative, but I'm creating for the people. You know,
no, yeah, for sure. Like when we threw this last event with Funk the Influence, is actually called Funk the Influence. You know, I was just like really, and we're getting cut off in a minute and a half, so I just want to thank you so much for doing this in the first
no
place.
problem, man. Thank you, bro.
But it was like we're thinking about like, man, like, you know, people are coming to this event and like I want this to feel a value. Like I want people to get something from this. I want them to feel a certain way. I want it to like look a certain way. I want it to smell like fucking Nag Champa when people walk in, you know? So we did all those things, except I forgot to light the incense. But you know, otherwise, you know, it was all there, you know?
Yeah, man.
Artist perspective, I mean, the audience perspective is super important because if they're not getting anything out of it, then it's, you know, it's just content. And you don't, as a creative, man, we don't make things for content. We make things for an experience, right?
Exactly.
I mean, unless you're getting hired to make content, then that's, you know, that's another thing.
I mean, but even with just making content and kind of passing it on, you know, as we're thinking about that creative process, you're still bringing the audience into your ideas, man. You know? Yeah,
100%.
Bro.
Yo, Davon, thank you so much for joining us today, man. And, you know, stay safe out there. You know, sterilize your groceries and, you know, be in touch, man.
Appreciate it, bro. Like, this has been monumental, man. First ever live, man. But definitely, like.
Oh, popping that stereo. All right. All right, take care, man.
All right,
Bye.
bro. Take care.